Okay, allow me to be a total giant music nerd for a second. Yesterday, I picked up a copy of Rubber Soul. Classic album, right? And as everybody knows, Rubber Soul starts like this. Here's the thing though, while in the UK Beatles releases were put out by Parlophone, which is a subsidiary of EMI, in the US they were put out by Capitol Records, which somehow had the right to make whatever changes they wanted to the track listing, and as such removed 2 tracks from every classic Beatles album, and then would compile them with other non-album singles to create albums like Yesterday and Today, Something New, Beatles 65, all albums that most people aren't that familiar with because they aren't considered canonical. What this means is, until 1966, the US and UK were getting completely different Beatles albums with completely different titles and track listings, and even once they started getting the same titles, they were still vastly different, which brings us to Rubber Soul. Due to the recent rise of the folk rock movement in popular music, Capitol really wanted to cash in and do something similar with an act that they had some agency over, which in this case was the Beatles. So while most people know Rubber Soul as this really cool kind of bluesy, soulful turn for the Beatles, in the US things were a little different. In the US, Rubber Soul starts like this. That's right, the US version of Rubber Soul opens with I've Just Seen a Face, which in the UK was on Help, as was It's Only Love. But instead, we have no Drive My Car, we have no Nowhere Man. In fact, we don't even have a What Goes On, which means that Ringo doesn't have a single vocal on this album. The missing songs from Rubber Soul were combined with the missing songs from the US version of Revolver, along with Day Tripper, and We Can Work It Out to make an album known in the US as Yesterday and Today, which is a great listen because it's a lot of really cool songs. Capitol finally stopped fucking around with the Beatles catalog when it came to Sgt. Pepper, which is something that I think we can all say was a good move on their part. Anyway, I'm a huge nerd. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.